Eddie Jones is one of the top rugby union coaches on the planet. His career spans 4 World Cups and 4 nations. The son of a Japanese-American mother and an Australian father, he saw sport as his ticket to acceptance. His passion for rugby union started at Matraville High School, where he played alongside the Ella brothers and Lloyd Walker. That led to a brief career playing hooker for Randwick and New South Wales. He later retired from the sport to pursue a career in teaching. He then found his way back to rugby in the form of coaching, including successful stints with the Brumbies and later the Wallabies. Since then, he's assisted the Springboks to their 2007 World Cup win, coached Japan and now England, guiding them to the World Cup final this year. Jones remains England's head coach, despite calls for him to be returned as Wallabies coach. He has now published a memoir about his remarkable life. Eddie Jones, welcome to 7:30.
Thank you.
You write that growing up, you didn't consider yourself Japanese, I think. But on reflection, as you look back over your life, were you ever subjected to racism in school or after?
Look, my mother made a decided policy to bring us up as Australians because back then there was a white Australian policy. So we didn't want to be known as Japanese, but obviously had a half Japanese face, and at times I'd get called Chinese because I don't think anyone there knew who the Japanese were. So, but it wasn't too bad, mate. You got on with it, and particularly because I was lucky enough to play in good sporting teams, in good cricket teams, and good rugby teams. It was always a bit easier to cope with.
You're known for being meticulous in your preparation for games, a bit like your schoolboy side coach. And especially at big tournaments like the World Cup. How does it feel to be a coach stuck on the sidelines when the plan that you agreed with your players is not what you're watching on the field?
Yeah, well, that's part of coaching. I think, as you get older, you learn to just take full responsibility for it. I think when you're a young coach, you tend to blame the players. I told him to do that and he's not doing it. But the fact is that if you haven't told the players well enough, they won't be able to do it. So now it's less frustration and more reflection about what could I have done better in coaching the players if the game plan's not coming to fruition. And there's sometimes like the World Cup final where the other team just plays better than you.
Did Australian Rugby Union contact you to just talk about whether you consider coaching again?
Look, I had some informal contact, but nothing too formal. And I'm committed to a 2-year contract to England, so it would have been difficult to get out of that contract. And I think Australia had already moved in other directions.
Raylene Castle has said that she contacted you after Michael Cheika's resignation. What did you discuss?
Look, as I said, there was no formal discussion as such. There was a brief text exchange, but no actual in-depth discussion about whether I was interested in coaching Australia.
But she must have flagged an interest.
Not really, mate. I think it was a convenient conversation for the ARU to have, to be honest, to show that they did show some interest, but I don't think they were ever really interested in bringing me back as the Australian coach.
Michael Cheika has said in the lead up to his appointment that he thought an Australian should be the head coach. Dave Rennie's obviously a Kiwi. Has Australia made a mistake?
Look, I don't think so. I think that ideally Australia'd like to have an Australian, but if the best candidate's a Kiwi, go with a Kiwi. I think what we've seen is a globalisation of the sport, which happens in nearly every other endeavour in life, and now the movement of coaches between countries is much more common.
Australian rugby is very top-heavy. Big money has been spent on individual players, and in your era, the likes of Takiri, Wendell Saylor, Matt Rogers. Was that a mistake? Would you do it differently today?
No, I don't think so. I think you've always got to play the top players very good money. I think that's part of any professional sport. I think what you do have to do, though, is make sure you prioritise the development of young players, and that's really important. I think that's separate from paying the top players, because it doesn't matter what sport you look at in the world, the top players are paid good money. But what you do have to do is make sure you invest in the younger players, invest in talent identification, which is probably something the Australian Rugby Union hasn't done well.
If you could go back and speak to Eddie Jones on the eve of him coaching his very first match, what would be the one piece of advice you'd offer him?
Be patient.
Eddie Jones, thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.